To get a little personal for a second, to those few people who said to me, you shouldn't do YouTube, you should just stick to your day job. Well, that's what I've been doing for the past week. That's why I haven't been posting any new reviews, because I've been working more than I've ever done before. I'm going to be working much more next week. A few days after that, flying out to LA, going to be there for 5 weeks. All this big stuff that's happening, but I still said to myself, you know what, I'm going to do all that sort of important stuff and still find the time to do reviews. I don't know. That's just what I want to do. Warcraft is the big budget adaptation of the World of Warcraft franchise that's been around since 1994. Huge game franchise that I have never played. Basically, my knowledge of World of Warcraft is comprised of the South Park episode where they played World of Warcraft. That's about it. So going into this movie, I knew nothing. Absolutely nothing at all. So I was basically the most perfect person to see this movie. Someone who isn't so invested in all the little characters and worlds and races and all that kind of stuff of the franchise. Someone who just goes into this movie expecting just this fun, epic fantasy adventure. And I kind of got that. Ish. I'll start with the positives for Warcraft. Duncan Jones, director of Moon, which is one of my most favourite science fiction films, probably of all time, really pours a lot of craft into this movie. You really see that he loves this franchise. He's said in interviews he's been a humongous fan of the games for many years, and you really see that level of just dedication and enjoyment out of making this huge sort of movie. You could see it in the production design, the costumes, the visuals are incredible. It really captures this massive world. A positive also is Travis Fimmel, who is from Vikings. He plays the protagonist. I thought that he put a lot of himself into this character. He had a lot of fun with it. He really put the emotion where it needed to, and I thought he was a strong-ish character. Little underrated, the best character in the movie, Toby Kebbell as Durotan, the orc chieftain, the orc protagonist, who I really saw how much he put into this movie, but he was so criminally underused that I just ended up hating who he was because he just didn't do anything. I don't like hating a character that I want to like. Other positives, the music, holy crap. Ramin Djawadi, who is the composer of Game of Thrones, Iron Man and Pacific Rim, just knows what he's doing. He knows how to create the most epic, explosive, grand music possible, next to maybe like Hans Zimmer and John Williams. I sat there and I was thinking, you know what? I want to download this soundtrack because this is the kind of stuff that I want to like work out to or just get really pumped listening to. And the action, holy crap, some of the action was just like, boof! You really feel the power of the hit. There's this one character, Orgrim Doomhammer, which is this big orc. He holds this ginormous hammer. When he hits people, you really feel it in your gut. He just, whoof. I sat there and went, whoa! That is cool. And there's a lot of really cool action scenes, I have to say. The magic as well, which is, a very risky sort of thing to do. A lot of movies don't really pull it off. I think Warcraft really did pull it off. It looked very cool, looked very interesting. Probably execution-wise in terms of story, not so much, but it looked cool. And that's the thing. Warcraft looks great. But is it enough for a movie to just look great to be good? No, it's not, because Warcraft is still a complete mess of a movie. There is so many story ideas that go absolutely nowhere, characters who are just completely underdeveloped. I'm sorry to get all negative, but there is more negative stuff in Warcraft than there are positives, and it shamed me to think about this. It made me feel kind of bad, because I really wanted to like this movie, but going in, watching it and coming out, I just felt really disappointed. I was expecting a fun fantasy epic. I got some moments of fun and some moments of epicness and some moments of fantasy, and just none of them meshed together. The whole movie, unfortunately and frustratingly, felt like this big setup to a sequel that we'll probably never get to see. It just kept feeling like they were setting up for some bigger, better story that we should have just gotten in this movie, but we didn't. What we got was a very derivative narrative that was very uninteresting, characters that just had no purpose or tried as hard as they could, actors who really were investing themselves in these characters who just didn't do anything. It just doesn't stick. And that's the problem with Warcraft. Not only is it mediocre, but none of it really lands. It keeps doing all these weird, bold things that is interesting when you're watching it because you're just shocked, like, holy crap, they just killed that guy? They just killed... Really? Whoa. Okay then. But coming out of the cinema, thinking it in my mind, I was like, I don't like that. If that character didn't die, I'd like the movie better. If that thing wasn't there, if they took out that scene, which was completely boring and made me fall asleep, if they just took out certain things, it still wouldn't have been a great movie, but it would at least been much more enjoyable. But the real problem of everything is that you can't take out all these pieces, because if you do, you're still left with a very, very poorly written script. Some of the dialogue, I sat there, oh my God, why would you say that? It was so unsubtle, dull. Warcraft is basically this great, beautiful looking house that's built on some very unstable foundations that almost collapse towards the end. I wouldn't say it's a terrible movie. It's not. It's not a particularly great movie. It's just frustratingly middle level, when it should have just been great. It should have just been up and above all the other video game movies that are out there, but it just isn't. Warcraft is not going to be this big godsend that's going to be the first great video game to movie adaptation, because I don't think it ever was going to be. The only way that you can make a good video game to movie is if you're adapting a video game that has a great story and great characters and established narrative. Warcraft, however, was just based off a game that is just about you running around collecting stuff and hitting magical things. I just don't think that really translated well onto the screen. In the end, Warcraft is a good looking movie that isn't good, not that entertaining to just recommend to people. Warcraft is not worth the ticket and you should probably stream it instead. Warcraft, have you seen it? Please tell me what you think about it. Thanks for watching.